But let's take a look at one of our top stories this hour. Thailand and Cambodia have agreed to conduct joint military patrols along disputed areas of their border after the death of 2 Cambodian soldiers in clashes on Wednesday. They say the patrol should stop such incidents from happening again. Clashes erupted around the 900-year-old Preah Vihear temple complex, the focus of a long-running dispute. Jonathan Head reports from Bangkok.
After the shooting, talking has resumed. The commander of Thai forces around the disputed temple came out after a 5-hour meeting with his Cambodian counterparts, but without much progress to report. For the moment, troops on both sides will stay where they are, he said. But they did at least agree to run joint patrols in an effort to prevent more bloodshed. So this remains a very tense and heavily armed stretch of border, with hundreds of troops from either side stationed right next to one another. The sight of wounded soldiers from yesterday's gun battles has inflamed nationalist sentiment in both countries. And that makes it all the harder for the politicians to hammer out and then sell a compromise. For Thailand's new Prime Minister, this is yet another challenge he's struggling to meet. He's supposed to be the defence minister as well, but he cuts a less than convincing figure as commander-in-chief at a time like this. His unpopular government is unlikely to risk making a deal over the contested border for fear of stoking up more nationalist anger. When it won World Heritage status for Preah Vihear 3 months ago, the Cambodian government had hoped it would join the more famous Angkor Wat temple complex as yet another crowd puller in the country's fast-growing tourist industry. But for now, those dreams will have to wait. Jonathan Head, BBC News, Bangkok.
Well, let's go to the Cambodian capital, Phnom Penh, now to join our correspondent, Guy Delani. Guy, how optimistic are the Cambodians that this calm is going to hold?
Well, the official line from Cambodia is that it's now back to business as normal on the border of Preah Vihear. But the thing is, normal business at Preah Vihear over the past few months has been a pretty strange affair. We've still got, as Jonathan was saying in his report, hundreds of heavily armed troops from both sides stationed within meters of each other. And the problem the other day, the official line again being that this was just an accident, some people maybe firing into the air, other soldiers misinterpreting and firing back. Well, there's nothing really been done to solve the root cause of that problem, why those troops are there in the first place. So while Cambodia and indeed Thailand may say it's business as usual, it clearly isn't.
Would Cambodia want to push for a resolution afterwards? It was awarded the heritage status for the temple, which seemed to give them, sort of the better part of the argument.
Well, Cambodia has a lot more to lose from any conflict than Thailand does. This is the smaller country with a much smaller economy and is emerging from decades of war and is only now really moving forward. Its tourism business, which is very big indeed, is going to be incredibly damaged. Even by this situation with Thailand, we're already seeing tens of thousands of tourists who would have come through Thailand to Cambodia staying away. That's only going to get worse if this situation isn't resolved. It's in Cambodia's own interests to solve it. Of course, in this part of the world, you can't be seen to be backing down. You can't lose face. A solution really is going to have to be found that suits both countries. The difficulty is Thailand in a position to make any sort of deal with the state of the government there at the moment?
Guy Delani, thank you for joining us. Well, we can actually go to Bangkok now for an official comment there. We're joined by Wirachai Plasai. He's the Director General for Treaties and Legal Affairs at the Thai Foreign Ministry. Welcome to World News Today.
Hello.
Are you optimistic that this current calm at the border is going to hold, or is there going to have to be a legal solution?
Yes, I am confident that we will be able to find a legal solution.
What does the Thai government plan to do? With the disarray in your government, you may not be in a position to do much.
Well, we plan to continue the bilateral process of negotiation, but that will take some time and we will have to be patient. We have a new constitution that we will have to follow certain domestic procedures. But once that is done, we'll be able to I hope resume the negotiation very, very quickly with a good result.
But as you may know, Cambodia is accusing Thailand of going far too slow on this issue.
I don't think we're slow. Boundary questions take years. In Europe, it took you centuries to solve the boundary problems. We began negotiation proper on this sector only the 28th of July, barely 2-3 months. How could you expect a spectacular result on a question which is very sensitive? But we are aware of that, and we're trying to do something to speed up the progress because, for example, 2 of our soldiers just stepped on a landmine that has been recently planted and they lost their legs, and we don't want that to reproduce.
But would Thailand work with Cambodia on developing the temple as a World Heritage Site? Obviously, they were handed that status. Both of you could benefit.
We, as far back as early 2004, we proposed a joint nomination with Cambodia. And it was the Cambodians who took the decision in early 2006 to go for it alone. And I think that is part of the cause of the mess we're in now. As of now, they have decided to go it alone. We, as responsible member of the UNESCO, would try to see what we can do.
Well, thank you very much for joining us from Bangkok to give us your view of the situation. Well, we did offer the Cambodian government a chance to come on the program as well to comment on the border situation. They turned down the offer. A foreign ministry spokesperson said Cambodia felt it had nothing else to add now that the situation along the border was, as they put it, back to normal.